Hey, excuse me. Wait, do you live in Berkeley?
Yeah, I live here actually.
You mind me asking how much you pay for rent
I
monthly?
pay just under $2,000 a month.
Oh, you think I could get a tour?
Yeah, come on.
Sweet.
This is my building.
Sweet. Cheney.
Usually the elevator's broken, but we got lucky today. Welcome to my quad.
Wow, looks pretty spacious if you ask me. Tell me about it.
This used to be a study lounge, but because of the Berkeley housing shortage, me and 3 other girls live in this room.
So you're telling me like people used to study in here?
Yep.
Damn.
This is our kitchen. Microwave and a fridge. So awesome.
Dismal.
We didn't get closets. However, Berkeley Housing was kind enough to provide us with metal racks after 3 months of us asking for them. This is my roommate.
What's up? What's your name?
Iselin.
Iselin. What do you think of the room here?
It's nice. It's just in like the loudest part of the hall, so you'll like hear when people come out of the elevator, like every time someone opens the bathroom door. And it's nice now that we're in a double, but we were paying a lot to share a room with 3 people, so
I see.
yeah.
So this is our bathroom.
Okay.
So there's 30 people on the floor, and we share 3 showers and 3 bathroom stalls.
And 4 sinks.
One of them doesn't even work.
Oh, I see. What do you think about your housing experience here at Berkeley overall?
Well, it's certainly been interesting. I'm a freshman, so this is my first time ever renting, and it's a little bit weird to be living in a place that wasn't even meant for people to live in. And the university is getting $8,000 a month from this room, which seems insane because it's absolutely not worth that much money. This used to be a study lounge, and not only are we having to live here, but now the other people on my floor don't have a place to study.
If you or someone you know is an American student attending an in-demand college or university in 2023, y'all have actually suffered from the housing shortage more than almost anybody. Right between 2013 and 2020, rents at conventional apartments within 3 miles of college campuses reportedly grew 30%, outpacing inflation. And when Moody's Analytics looked at 11 metros where at least 19% of the total population was college students, it found that rents at student housing properties grew about 3% faster than regular apartments over the past 4 years, with one metro even seeing a growth rate difference as large as 15%. And actually, part of the reason this is happening has to do with who owns and manages that housing. Because as places like Insider have put it, in the decade plus since the Great Recession, the student housing market has transformed from a patchwork of on-campus dorms, small apartments, and shared houses into a huge industry that's coveted by some of Wall Street's biggest investors. For example, the private equity giant Blackstone last year bought American Campus Communities, the largest developer and manager of student housing in the U.S., for $13 billion. With just that deal alone putting nearly 112,000 beds into its portfolio and spurring on a wave of student housing acquisitions by other investors.
I would like to bring to light what is happening currently at the University of Cincinnati with our housing. So it is around the time of year where all current residents and students are able to choose their housing for next year. All current students are only given 5 options out of the 19 options provided from the school. And all of those options are either apartments or junior or like suite style. Not including that apartment style also costs $10,000 a year. The reason they are doing this because when I was entering into this year as a freshman, our housing was very limited to the point where a lot of us had to live in hotels that we still had to pay for. I originally was not going to live in an apartment, but I had to because that was the only option left. And now that is still the only option left. Not everyone can afford a campus apartment, and all the surrounding apartments around campus upcharge because they know that they can because they're near a college campus. And I would also like to say that housing did not give us a formal warning that this would be happening in order for us to like try and find off-campus housing, because around this time of year is currently February and we are not able to find any housing because it's already been taken up. Or if we do find housing and they know that they're the only ones left, they're going to crazy upcharge us. And most of the apartments that we were given were far away from campus that we'd have to take a shuttle to get to, or would have to walk like at least 20 to 30 minutes to get onto campus. I am currently going to send an email to the Vice President of Housing and the President of the university about this issue because they all decided on this without consulting any of the student body. They're also trying to encourage students who live near campus in their parents' homes to not live on campus next year, to make room for all the freshmen that they overly accepted. They accepted more freshmen than they did last year when there were already problems with accepting more freshmen than they could handle with the housing. I am currently one of those people who does live close to the school, but I do not have a car. I don't have a mode of transportation, and I would have to catch at least 3 or 4 buses to get here, and I'd also have to wake up at the crack of dawn just to get onto the campus, just to be here for a 9 a.m. class. Please spread the word about this, and please try and help us get this fixed because this is extremely unfair.
UC San Diego's fall quarter starts next month, but many students will not be living on campus because of a housing shortage.
This afternoon, more than 2,300 students are on wait lists for on-campus housing. They start in a month. CBS 8's Chris Groh at UC San Diego to explain what students are now being told to do.
A couple of different options for these students, but again, none of them the options that they imagined. So 2,300 students right now on a waiting list for on-campus housing. Their options off-campus kind of few and far between. Now, of course, what they can do is rent an off-campus apartment or home, but that's likely going to be expensive. We heard from some students that they have to find multiple roommates just to get something in their budget. The other thing that's going on is UC San Diego is going ahead and partnering with a local hotel to offer discounted rates, but those rates only apply if students stay at least 90 days. Now, there was supposed to be an opening of a kind of a living and learning neighborhood in the theater district, Student Village, with about 2,000 beds, but school officials say that the multi-million-dollar project fell behind schedule. There are 3 other projects which could provide about housing for about more than 5,700 students, but that won't open until 2025. And so the students we spoke with say they are frustrated by the lack of housing options for on campus, especially for a lot of those first-year students who maybe aren't from the area or don't even know the area that well.
I think it's pretty terrible that they promised a lot of students housing and weren't able to provide it. So I think it's really tough for those who are just coming to college and are already super stressed out about trying to find a place to live.
Maybe a little compensation, for people that, could get into the housing, and waited for a while, just get an answer. That'd be nice.
In a statement that was sent to CBS 8, UCSD did acknowledge the issue and said that there, again, are a number of different options that they're looking at. They talked about those 3 projects that won't open until 2025. But to read more about what it is that they had to say, you can go to cbs8.com and click on that story link.
As if moving and starting a new school isn't hard enough.
Right.
Now they're scrambling.
And there's something to be said about on-campus dorms. That's just part of that college experience
people, sure.
that will be hard for them if they don't have that.
This could be a difference of needing a vehicle or not, or
Right.
some sort of transportation.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's
I believe this year it was 800 students just on the wait list for on-campus housing. They're bringing more and more students in every year, but they're not providing them with the minimal comfort that they require.
We've heard from students like Hadia who say the struggle to find affordable housing is so bad they've been at risk of homelessness. Many universities and colleges in Canada don't have the space to house the number of students they're enrolling. That's pushing more students into housing markets where they're competing with other renters as they search for off-campus options. Take this University of Guelph student. She says she's paying $840 a month for one room with water damage in a house shared with 6 other students. There was even a Reddit thread dedicated to warning students not to attend school in Guelph, Ontario unless they were planning to commute. Rents have also increased dramatically in places like Victoria, Calgary, Halifax, and Charlottetown. The situation can be even more precarious for international students, who typically pay tuition that's 4 to 5 times higher than domestic students.
You find lots of international students in shelters. You find them sleeping the post-secondary buildings, sleeping in their cars. There's a lot of hidden homelessness.
More than 500,000 international study permits were issued in Canada last year. That's a 75% increase from just 5 years ago. Right now, there's no cap on that number and no requirement for schools to build housing for those students to live in. But the federal government is considering changing that. For the 2017 to 2018 school year, it's estimated that international students paid almost 40% of all tuition fees for Canadian universities. That's almost $4 billion in annual revenue. Some immigration and housing experts say schools should change how they're spending some of that money.
International students are bringing in a lot of revenue for the post-secondary institutions, particularly the colleges. Some of that revenue should be allocated to building affordable housing.
Some schools are building new residence buildings, but not fast enough to keep up with demand. We reached out to dozens of colleges and universities who say they're aware of the issue. The University of Calgary says it's trying to help students find places to stay off campus. It's appealing to the local community to consider renting out spare bedrooms. The University of Guelph is using a local hotel to house 160 students for the next 3 years. Some schools say they need more support from the federal government to get enough housing built because of high interest rates and construction costs. We also want to know what your experience has been with student housing. Let us know in the comments.
Amsterdam, een supermooie kamer, best ruim. Nu een hospice zaterdag. Deze luxe studentenwoning voor maar €850 per maand, exclusief.
Deze is ook nog in de aanbieding, lieve mensen.
Op de Keizersgracht. Geweldig appartement. Precies genoeg ruimte voor een bed. En wie weet, een bureautje. €400 in de maand. Dat is toch niks?
I'm trying to, but it's extremely expensive, so I'm not technically.
How long have you been trying to get a house for?
A year. I'm in my second year of college, so going into my second year this year, and I still haven't found anywhere.
What did you have to do for the first year?
I had to commute every single day.
From where?
Meath. So it's like an hour and a half, which is fine until, you know, like you're finishing all your lectures and you're dead tired and you don't get home until like 10 o'clock and then you have to be up at like 6 o'clock the next morning for the next lecture. Like it's a little bit, you know. And there's people who are worse. I've had my best friend, she lived in Wexford. She used to commute every single day because she couldn't afford it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you think the situation is currently getting worse? Like, you think is it getting easier or harder to find a place?
Big time, no, it's horrendous. It is like, I don't know why landlords think like students can afford €1,500 a month. I don't know where they think I can get that money. I'm trying, trust me. But unless it's legal, I don't think you can do that. So, it's ridiculous.
Listening to you, you'd imagine that there's no problem at all. You'd scratch your head and you'd wonder why thousands of our young, brightest and best are mobilising on the streets today, because according to the Taoiseach, there's no problem. According to the Taoiseach, it's not a problem that you commute for hours and hours, to the extent that your social life is totally broken and your mental and physical well-being is compromised. According to the Taoiseach, it's not a problem that rents are at record highs and that students really struggle to meet these rents, Count Corla. And you heard the young person saying they make the decision, do I eat or do I pay the rent? According to the Taoiseach, it's not a problem, it seems, that we are losing again a generation of talented, qualified people that we need here in this country to build Ireland. Apparently that's okay. According to you, Leo Varadkar, it's all going to plan. Now that's in your world. See, in the real world, where people with their eyes open look and care to see the evidence before them, our young people are really struggling to get basic accommodation so that they can pursue their study. And they come here to ask questions of you and your government as to what you will do, and it seems you're coming up blank for them. That's not good enough, Taoiseach. What will you do in next week's budget to make a real difference in these young people's lives?